From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, this is Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Riley Smith. In today's show, Mark talks about the latest planting technology with Caleb Stuber of PTx. I discuss the 2026 crop season with Brad Hammes of Helena. And Dustin visits with April Isaacson about the Celebration of Ag dinner coming up at the end of this month. Now here are your hosts, Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman.
Well, welcome into another edition of Iowa Ag Matters. Here we are, the 9th of March already, and WASDE Day tomorrow, Mark Magnuson. So a lot of markets are going to be watching to see what kind of numbers we're going to be getting. Some folks think it could be a little bit bearish, but then again, one never knows. The times are changing, and it doesn't seem like the market really stays put 1 minute to the next right now.
And the big thing about this report as well, Dustin, is that we have the big report from USDA at the end of the month, which tends to make me think that we're going to have a pretty quiet WASDE report tomorrow. That's just my feeling going into it. I guess we'll have to see how that plays out. And we, of course, will talk with Greg McBride of Allendale here on the show in just a little bit to help preview that WASDE report and look ahead to tomorrow. But yeah, that is kind of the domestic news that we're watching here this week. Of course, internationally, the other thing I want to talk with Greg about is the oil price. Of course, that is the big discussion topic as we see the conflict in Iran continue and some attacks on some of that oil infrastructure in the country, what that's doing to the oil price and what it means here for the oil price, I guess, knock-on effects and the gas prices here in this country.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting that the Strait of Hormuz really basically shut down. It's really adding to the problems we're seeing with the oil markets and the prices we're getting there at the pump. We're seeing that already. It is amazing how it doesn't take but a day or two for the bad news and the price raises to get to the pump. But when it's going down, it can take 2 to 3 weeks for it to actually trickle through, they say. So it's interesting how that always plays out. But that's another topic of discussion. But yeah, it's going to be a long and probably jaded couple of weeks here at least until things could possibly settle down. We don't know how that's going to play out. Of course, another deadline coming up this weekend, or actually probably Monday, is going to be the crop insurance sign-up deadline. Make sure you are getting those acres insured. That is going to be an essential tool if anything goes wrong. I mean, I know margins are razor thin, but you cannot afford to give up on the crop insurance programs to help you become whole again, hopefully, at least to keep you from hopefully having a disaster on your hands if Mother Nature decides to play dirty. Let's go ahead and get things going. As Mark said, we'll be talking with Greg McBride of Allendale here to get us going with what's happening in grains.
Joined today by Greg McBride of Allendale for the opening market discussion. Greg, what's happening with the trade in the grains?
Gapped higher. Everything that you see in corn, beans, wheat, all directly in response to the strength in the crude oil market, which gapped higher last night. Saw a high of $119.48 in the front month crude. This is all obviously tied to the Iran situation. You had Israel bombing some of the refineries in and around Tehran over the weekend, and that really set off a storm of buying last night. You had a gap higher in corn, you had a gap higher in beans, wheat, all of that. Now that said, overnight, I don't remember exactly what time the story came out because I've read it multiple times. There was conversation that the G7 leaders were going to have a discussion about pulling from their strategic oil reserves or strategic petroleum reserves, and in order to slow down this crude market and in order to kind of hold back the prices. Obviously, we've seen the increase in price at the pump for unleaded and diesel, and you've seen this movement go crazy. Well, that took us from essentially $30 higher to only about $7 or $8 higher in the crude right now, and that also took some of the wind out of the sails of the corn, beans, and wheat. You are trading wheat down about 2 cents. You've got KC wheat sitting just slightly higher, about a penny higher. Corn back to only 2 higher and has actually worked lower here this morning. And then the beans trading anywhere from 6 to 10 cents higher at this time. So this is not necessarily a fundamental situation for the grains or the bean complex. This is all in response to what's happening in the crude market, but the funds have decisively jumped into the long side of corn, beans, and wheat. They are long on the wheat in Chicago or in KC and Minneapolis, and it's just barely short in the Chicago contract.
Greg, are there any domestic stories on the grain side that you're watching this week?
We have a USDA report tomorrow. Normally, those are exciting and fun to watch. There's not a heck of a lot that we're expecting to see change on this report. We're lagging on ethanol here over the last few weeks. Exports have still been very good for corn, but we may see just kind of a kick the can down the road as we go into that end of month planted acreage and quarterly stocks reports. On the bean side of things, no major change there. The export demand has been a miss for about the last 4 out of 5 weeks. The crush is good, but again, the dryness in the Great Plains and how much is that going to be an issue as we come out of dormancy? We've seen excessive rains in through some of the eastern corn belt where some of those wheat acres are at, which is good. It's just some of the areas of Kansas, Oklahoma, and the Texas Panhandle that are on the excessively dry side of things. So there's still going to be some question marks there, but we all kind of just are looking at this report saying, well, there's not necessarily going to be a whole heck of a lot because we're looking forward to that March 31st report. The other side of it is at that same exact time, that's when President Trump is supposed to be in Beijing meeting with President Xi of China to discuss further trade. We don't necessarily know if that is going to happen. We also, if it does happen, we don't know what that necessarily means for trade in the ags because he does seem to have his sights set more on rare earth rather than soybeans. But I'm sure that will get brought up quite as we get closer.
Your local radio station brings you the local news you depend on. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network complements that with ag news, weather, and market updates tailored for Iowa's farmers. Together, we deliver the best of both worlds, local connection and industry expertise. It's all to keep you connected with the heartbeat of the heartland. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, connecting rural Iowa with the news that matters to you.
You're listening to Iowa Ag Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Coming up at the end of this month, it is the Celebration of Ag. Dustin Huffman was joined by the team to learn more about the event and what we can expect here later this March.
We're here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I am talking right now with April Isaacson. She is from Anamosa, and we are talking today about the Celebration of Ag event coming up here at the end of the month. And first of all, April, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us here today.
Yeah, thanks, Dustin, for having me on. I'm excited to share about the event.
All right, so tell us, what is the Celebration of Ag, the event that you've been holding?
Yeah, so the Celebration of Ag is an annual event that brings together farmers, agribusiness leaders, community members, and local officials. And we recognize the impact that agriculture has on the region. And it's got a rich, long history. This will be our 38th year.
All right, that's definitely a good long program to have, and it's definitely obviously a well-attended event. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect that are coming to this event.
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity for people to come together and network. We have a reception that starts out the night that begins at 5:30, and you'll have everybody kind of gathering in the reception area. We'll have a cash bar, and it's a great time to network with other people within your industry and surrounding industries. And then we'll have a dinner that starts at 6:30 and our program at 7 with our keynote speaker, Craig Culver, this year.
All right, and so what kind of message do you think Craig Culver is going to be able to bring here to an event like this?
I think Craig Culver is going to really resonate with our attendees this year. He is a co-founder of the Culver's Restaurants, and he just has a really great story of entrepreneurship and perseverance, working with his family and community. And he also, the Culver's Restaurants has a Support Your Farmer campaign, and they also support FFA Youth, which we also incorporate into our evening. So it's a really great tie to our event and kind of a parallel between what the Celebration of Ag likes to recognize and support and what the Culver's restaurants also support.
And of course, he is the keynote speaker, but also he's not the only one involved in the program. Tell us who else usually makes an appearance.
Yeah, so we're really excited. We're going to this year have Cedar Rapids Mayor Tiffany O'Donnell will be able to welcome everybody. And then we also have Secretary Mike Nag that comes and always likes to give a great update on the state and our state of agriculture.
All right. And if, of course, we have the event is coming up on March 25th, but registration deadline is coming up very quickly, isn't it?
Yes, your last minute ticket buyers, March 12th, that is next week. We have tickets and tables available through March 12th, and you can get those by visiting the Cedar Rapids Metro Economic Alliance website, or you can reach out to myself directly by emailing me at april@growthland.com.
All right. Well, April, we look forward to hearing more about this event on Wednesday, March the 25th, and anything else that our Iowa listeners need to know about the event before we wrap up today.
No, I just think that this is a great time to come together and remember that agriculture fills our plates and fuels our economy, and it connects our communities. And the Celebration of Agriculture is a great chance to say thank you and look at all of that together. So we hope to see you guys there.
All right. April Isaacson's been my guest here. She's from Anamosa, talking about the Celebration of Ag event coming up in the 25th of March in Cedar Rapids. The deadline for registration, Thursday, March 12th. Thanks so much, April. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dustin.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
Time to run down the basis numbers here on Iowa Ag Matters for this Monday. I'm Dustin Huffman. About half of our elevators are making price changes on corn, about 2 to 6 cents lower. Soybeans maybe around a nickel lower. Let's take a look at where they're pricing here as we start off the week. ADM Burlington 18 cents under on corn. They're at $4.49. Soybeans 25 cents under, $11.91. Cargill and Eddyville 24 cents under on corn. Cash bid $4.43. New Co-op Algona 48 cents under on corn, $4.19. Soybeans 84 cents under, cash bid $11.32. Ag State Sheldon 29 cents under on corn, $4.38. Soybeans 85 cents under at $11.31. Ag State Elta 42 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.25. Soybeans 80 cents under at $11.36. Cargill Cedar Rapids 19 cents under on corn, $4.48. Soybeans 45 cents under, cash bid $11.71. Five Star Co-op Nashua 33 cents under on corn, $4.34. Soybeans 72 cents under at $11.44. Lincoln Way Energy Nevada 26 cents under on corn, $4.41 for the cash bid. ADM Des Moines 50 cents under on soybeans, their cash price $11.66. New Co-op Red Oak 40 cents under on corn, $4.27. Soybeans 85 cents under at $11.31. Mid-Iowa Cooperative Green Mountain 46 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.21. Soybeans 85 cents under at $11.31. New Co-op Sheraton 42 cents under on corn, $4.25. Soybeans are 85 cents under, the cash bid there $11.31. Walk-On Feed Ranch 45 cents under on corn, $4.22. Soybeans 73 cents under, $11.43. New Co-op Glidden 46 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.21. Soybeans 84 cents under, $11.32. Innovative Ag Farley 44 cents under on corn, $4.23. Soybeans 77 cents under at $11.39. And Cargill Muscatine closed for the season. The deliveries will resume the week of March 23rd. Cash corn and soybean bids are subject to change without notice. Always check with your local elevator when making sales to obtain the most recent price. And that's been a rundown of your cash corn and soybean bids. They are continue to be as volatile as the markets have been. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this on Iowa Ag Matters.
Stay informed with the closing market report from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. your essential summary of the day's market activities and their impact on the agricultural economy. Join us for timely updates and expert commentary on commodity prices and market trends with trusted ag market analysts from around the Midwest. Tune in every Monday through Friday on your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate for your daily market recap and insights to stay ahead in the ag economy.
We are getting closer and closer to the official beginning of the crop season. Riley Smith here on Iowa Ag Matters, going to learn about the complete lineup from the team at Helena as he speaks with Brad Hammes. You're listening to the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.
Riley Smith, Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network here at Commodity Classic 2026 in San Antonio, Texas, visiting with Brad Hammes of the Helena Products Group. And we're here outside of the Helena trailer. Great to see, brand new trailer, and we know that innovation never stops. And we see that theme here on the trailer. It's the theme within Helena. Tell us about that.
And that's what we try to model our Helena Products Group off of, is innovation never stops. Even back to our early days as predominantly an adjuvant formulator, there are several classes of adjuvants now that came to be because Helena created them. So that's been kind of a theme of ours throughout our history of the company, is continuing to innovate in agriculture. And this theme now with our brand new trailer unveiled here for the first time at the Commodity Classic this year. This series, it's a podcast series, it's an educational series. There's even classroom activities and information that ag teachers can use. So truly trying to innovate, not just for current agriculturists, but for the future of agriculture as well.
And very important to touch on that future of agriculture, because you can't increase that knowledge of the ag industry without starting at the high school level. We see kids are more and more removed from the farm each generation. It's not even that their grandparents, they might be their great-grandparents were on the farm and they're no longer there. Having that connection is really great.
It certainly is. And just the understanding of milk doesn't come from the grocery store, right? And it's hard to be in Iowa and not see agriculture everywhere you go. But even just the folks from the cities. I live in the Quad Cities, and even my wife grew up in town and didn't know anything about soybeans until she met me. We scouted some soybean fields just to help her understand what actually went on in farming.
And you kind of mentioned as well before we started going of innovation never stops in Helena, but it also never stops within the ag industry. And it's very interesting to see as the ag industry has evolved. So as Helena, you mentioned starting predominantly adjuvants, but now really expanded quite broad. Expanded
into not just adjuvants, biological products, nutritional products. And one of the ones we're really excited about is a new value-added herbicide. And that's a place certainly with innovation that we need to be focused, is this continually more and more challenging weed management, right? Keeping our fields clean, keeping water hemp at bay, managing mare's tail in the spring, giant ragweed, all the weeds that we see across Iowa. The challenges that we have of not only keeping things clean, but also trying to prevent future growing resistance issues. And that's a product that we have called Testament. There's a new one that we've launched this past fall. And that's a great residual with great flexibility, not only corn herbicide, but also a bean pre. And so it is pre-plant, pre-emergent, not for over the top, but there's a fantastic burn down molecule in it. So starting clean with the field, taking care of any early season mare's tail, any of the chickweed and henbit, some of those winter annuals that can be a problem for us and lingering into the field, but then having two different residual molecules in there and two different chemical families within the group 15s. So having not only pyroxasulfone, but having a dimethenamide molecule in there. And one of the really interesting thing about those two, or that combination in particular, is you have one molecule that has a little bit quicker activation, doesn't need as much rain to get it going, doesn't have quite as long as residual. But then you have the second mode of action, the pyroxasulfone, has a little bit more water for activation, but has a long residual. So you get a great overlapping residual. You get a more consistent early season activation because it doesn't take as much rain, but then you get that great clean start because of the staflufenicil going in there to burn everything down and get that field ready to go to put our corn and beans in.
And we know with Testament, like you mentioned, for corn and beans, having that comprehensive control, a lot of flexibility there. It's kind of a solution where it's like, I see what I have here, and it can be used in many different ways on many different operations, right?
Definitely, and trying to make things easy, right? You have one product that you can use, certainly have to change rates between corn and soybeans, but it's that great setup, right? And I think personally, most of our crops need to have a two-pass system. I know there are some growers that can manage their weeds with one pass, especially in corn, but this is a great way to set that up and make your second pass timing more consistent, whether it's just with Testament by adding our adjuvant grounded to that to help maintain that residual length in our herbicides. But a lot of key, like you said, flexibility, going between the crops and predictability. And I think that's one of the biggest things with weed management is we want things to be predictable and consistent. And things like Testament, especially Testament mixed with Grounded, would be a great way to have that plan for your early season herbicide management.
And of course, getting ahead of the weeds as well. Like you mentioned,
yes.
We want that prevention. Once the weeds are in the field, they're really hard to, or once they're established in the field, really hard to get rid of. So being ahead of that and then staying on top of it, you mentioned with the residual as well. Stay on top and don't just get ahead, stay ahead.
Stay ahead, yep. And that's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Just thinking about how these plants grow, it's a lot harder for a crop to have to metabolize a really aggressive in-season herbicide application. And so the more we can do with residuals and prevent those weeds, that's the easiest weed to control is one that never comes out of the ground. Right? When you can control, like what we have to deal with, a lot of water head that's maybe this big compared to one that's this big, or late in the season, you see the ones that are starting to poke out above the soybean canopy. Those are the ones we're not going to get a whole activity on. We might be able to take the tops off of them, feel better about that, but they're still doing a lot of damage, making more weed seed to put back in our seed bank. So it's that residual starting out with the Testament, following that up with an in-season residual. A lot of times you could even use a different Group 15 for that in-season, using metolachlor or acetochlor molecule to continually mix and match those different modes of action, those different specific chemicals, so that we can help maintain and protect the longevity of the herbicides that we do still have that work.
All right, Brad, lots of great information today. For anyone who wants to stay up to date with Helena, how can they do that?
HelenaAgri.com would be a great resource. Check out our Innovation Never Stops site on that to see the different things and the different ways that Helena is trying to innovate in agriculture and try to help our producers continue to be profitable into the future.
Brad, thanks again for your time. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
Stay up to date with the latest in the ag industry with Agribusiness Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Each weekday, we bring you the latest advancements in farming, from new precision ag technology to cutting-edge sustainable farming practices. Agribusiness Matters is also your source for the most relevant ag news, policy discussions, and insights that are shaping the future of agriculture. Tune in to Agribusiness Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
Your local radio station brings you the local news you depend on. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network complements that with ag news, weather, and market updates tailored for Iowa's farmers. Together, we deliver the best of both worlds, local connection and industry expertise. It's all to keep you connected with the heartbeat of the heartland. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, connecting rural Iowa with the news that matters to you. This is the Midday Market Update on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson, joined today by Justin McKinney of Comstock for the Midday Market discussion. Justin, what's happening with the trade in the grains?
Wow, what a wild start here. We started the night session last night sharply higher following crude oil. Went up, hit that 119, 120 mark on the front month. Crude oil has since fallen way back. We're trading under $100 right now, so sharply off the highs on the crude oil. Actually, that's trading at 96.56 right now. So giving back pretty much all of that and pulling grains down with it. We have the old crop corn trading down about 4 3/4 at the current time. New crop corn down about a penny. Again, 15 cents off the highs from the overnight on the new crop. So a little bit concerning there. We'll see where the day closes on both corn and beans, but we could have an ugly look on the chart. The beans trading down about 2.5 on those May beans. November beans still clawing to about a penny and a half gain. We'll see if we can hold that through the day session. Again, much like crude oil, soy oil reversing over $3 off the high on the March. So we have some of the premium coming out of this market from energies as we move forward here.
I had seen some reports about countries potentially dipping into their strategic oil reserves. Is that what's causing the oil price to back off a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. That and the Russians over the weekend started exporting out of their Black Sea port. you just look at that jobs number on Friday, minus 92,000 versus an expectation of a 50,000 growth. You wonder how long this economy can support $110, $120 crude. So a little bit of setback definitely doesn't surprise me. I've heard that the Saudis are full on their reserves. So where that puts us, the United States as an exporter of crude, I don't know that the war overseas has much effect on our actual supply, but it sure does move the markets, doesn't it?
What's happening on the livestock side of the trade?
Wow, wild day. Started today, basically limit down on those feeder cattle, trading off about $4.55 right now on the March. April's down about $5.37. Back months trading about $6 to $6.20, 25 lower. Overall, cattle market felt a little bit tired. We didn't see the cash pop that we thought we were going to have last week. And then you throw in that jobs number, the Dow Jones trading over 1,200 points down. We have not been able to divorce ourselves in the last week from what the Dow has been doing.
Start your weekend with insight and inspiration on Weekend Ag Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Every week we bring you an in-depth look at the top ag stories with a recap of the week's biggest headlines. Join us for long-format interviews with industry leaders and policymakers, giving you insights you won't hear anywhere else. And don't miss our faith-based segment with Russ Parker, Food for Thought, offering a perspective that helps bring clarity and focus to our lives. Make Weekend Ag Matters part of your weekend routine. Tune in every weekend on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.
May corn down 4 3/4 at 4.55 3/4. May soybeans down 2.5 at 11.98 1/4. May soybean meal down 3.90 at 3.13.30. May soybean oil down 6 cents at 66.52. On the Merc, April live cattle down 4.60 at 229.98. March feeder cattle down 4.55 at 351.08. April lean hogs down $1 at 94.63. That was a check of the midday markets on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson.
Back on Iowa Ag Matters, and we are going to take a look at what's happening in those livestock markets and what the market is shaping up to do here as Greg McBride of Allendale rejoins the conversation with Mark Magnuson as they talk about the cattle and hog market starting off this new week.
What's happening on the livestock side of the trade today?
We continue to see pressure. Now, we are talking about the potential for a strike at the JBS Greeley, Colorado site. That is one of the largest packing plants in the United States. It's about 6,000 head that get processed per day there. The fat cattle and the feeders are following the weakness in the Dow as well. That correlation does happen from time to time as wealth kind of gets knocked out. The expensive beef kind of takes a back seat. So a little bit of negativity for both of those from both sides when it comes to the cattle market. You have seen cash cattle trade a little bit lower last week, maybe about $1 to $2 lower on the average. But as of right now, we are off the lows as we've gotten started here. We went to about limit down on fats and feeders this morning. It's currently down about $4 on the fats and about $7 on the feeders. The hog side of things just kind of caught in the middle here. You did make some new highs for the move the other day. That looks very good for us, but again, setting back just a little bit, maybe a little bit of concern about what's happening in some of these other markets and holding back some of their money, keeping their powder dry, as it were.
Why do you think we saw those big swings in the cattle market last week? Was it all tied to that JBS plant?
Well, I think some of it is, but that whole situation has been kind of brewing for a few weeks. You had the labor union approve a strike, but they didn't necessarily give us anything as far as to when a strike would happen. Well, we heard on Friday that March 16th is the day where a strike could happen if they don't reach a settlement or negotiate a deal out of this. I think a lot of what we saw last week was you had lower cash trade. You also had the stock market under duress with this Iran situation, and like I said, it's not always a 1-to-1 correlation, but that pressure in the stock market really did tend to put some pressure into the cattle market. You saw early in the week it was negative to start, but then they come back and finish slightly higher or around unchanged. Well, then into the to the close of the week, they beat it up pretty heavily.
Greg McBride of Allendale, my guest here today. Thanks so much for the time, Greg. What's the best way for our listeners to get in touch for more marketing information?
Give us a call at 800-2-MARKET. That's 800-262-7538.
Thanks, Greg. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you later.
In rural Iowa, we know you're sold on your local radio station. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network partners with local Iowa stations to deliver the latest in agriculture news, including grain elevator prices, market reports, and ag policy news. Trusted local voices, trusted ag content. This message is brought to you by your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Back on Iowa Ag Matters, and Mark Magnuson's going to be talking with the folks at PTx for more of their aftermarket technology and orientating the seeds so that way they have the best possible start when it comes to planting season.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and we are here today at Commodity Classic 2026. I'm joined by Caleb Stuber. We're at the PTx exhibit, which is always an extensive exhibit at any farm show, really, Caleb. And Caleb here today, excited to tell us about AeroTube. So Caleb, could you give us the 40,000-foot view? Why is AeroTube something that was developed by PTx?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time in the last few years looking at emergence in corn and plants in general. And we know emergence is costing farmers the most, especially with planter mistakes. And we've invested a lot of time and effort into products like Delta Force or Furrow Force Reveal to try to eliminate as much late emergers as possible. But we've always known there's been more improvement as well to come. And so we're really excited to talk about AeroTube and kind of that next step in plant emergence. And so what we're doing here is we're basically taking a kernel of corn and we are attempting to plant every single one tip down into the ground. Right? What that does is it allows my radical root to grow straight down, my coleoptile to grow straight up without having to curl around or bend around a seed that is landed in different directions. And so the other really neat thing about that as well, of not only trying to get that even emergence, is we're finding this correlation between the direction that the embryo is facing and leaf orientation. And so we're getting more plants to open up into that opening gap to try to have more leaf coverage and solar collectors, essentially, you could say, instead of plants branching into each other and covering each other up. And so we're doing that with this new device that we call AeroTube. All right. And so this mates up to the existing VSET meter on a lot of farms today. And essentially what we're doing is we're taking that kernel of corn as it comes in, spinning it around the seed accelerator using frictional forces to turn and orientate that seed up top. And then we are basically essentially firing that seed down this tube and kind of using centrifugal force to maintain that position, and then cutting just a small furrow at the bottom of the seed trench for that seed to land tip down in there and stick that landing. And so really excited about this. We think it's going to be the next step in trying to eliminate those late emerged plants.
So Caleb, a lot to think about there, because as you started with, that end goal is always even emergence. We know that is so vital, and that is going to potentially, be the difference in what you're going to see throughout your growing season. So I know with PTx and precision planting, there's been a lot of things over the years that have worked to help with this even emergence. So this is kind of taking it even a step further in terms of just optimizing things and making sure that this can make things even better for, let me rethink my thought. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. And make things even better in terms of even emergence, which again is the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so when you talk about, spinning the seed around, forcing it down with the centrifugal force, I'm sure there's been lots of testing that's done with this piece of equipment. I guess, what's the error rate like on this? Have you seen that it has been able to replicate that time and time again?
Yeah, we have. Now, it will plant flats better than rounds. Well, not plant, but orientate flats better than rounds, more because of how we're spinning that seed in the center axis of that seed. The rounder it is, right, that center axis is more in the center, and it's hard to get that tip down position. However, we still have a high percentage of seeds on average across that will land tip down.
He is Caleb Stuber, my guest here today. Caleb, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it, and have a great rest of the show.
Thank you. You too.
Stay up to date with the latest in the ag industry with Agribusiness Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Each weekday, we bring you the latest advancements in farming, from new precision ag technology to cutting-edge sustainable farming practices. Agribusiness Matters is also your source for the most relevant ag news, policy discussions, and insights that are shaping the future of agriculture. Tune in to Agribusiness Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
In rural Iowa, you need reliable information. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network brings you ag-specific content like market trends, weather outlooks, and policy updates that matter to your operation, while your local station brings you community news and consistent updates on what is happening in your area. It's a partnership built for the challenges of rural life. Your farm, your local station, and your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters. Find us online at iowaagnet.com.
Thanks for joining us for the show today. We will be back tomorrow with more Iowa Ag Matters. You're listening to the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.